Hey, today we're doing First Samuel chapter 11, chapter 12 in the contemporary English version. We are getting now to see King Saul and see how his reign begins, how it starts, what things are happening with him. So let's go ahead and do that. About this time, King Nahash of Ammon came with his army and surrounded the town of Jabesh in Gilead. The people who lived there told Nahash, "If you will sign a peace treaty with us, you can be our ruler, and we will pay taxes to you." Nahash answered, "Sure, I'll sign a treaty, but not before I insult Israel by poking out the right eye of every man who lives in Jabesh." The town leader said, "Give us 7 days so we can send messengers everywhere in Israel to ask for help. If no one comes here to save us, we will surrender to you." Some of the messengers went to Gibeah, Saul's hometown. They told what was happening at Jabesh, and everyone in Gibeah started crying. Just then Saul came in from the fields, walking behind his oxen. "Why is everybody crying?" Saul asked. They told him what the men from Jabesh had said. Then the Spirit of God suddenly took control of Saul and made him furious. Saul killed 2 of his oxen, cut them up in pieces, and gave the pieces to the messengers. And he told them to show the pieces to everyone in Israel and say, "Saul and Samuel are getting an army together. Come and join them. If you don't, this is what will happen to your oxen." The Lord made the people of Israel terribly afraid until all the men came together at Bezek. Saul had them organized and counted, and there were 300,000 men from Israel and 30,000 from Judah. Saul and his officers sent the messengers back to Jabesh with this promise: "We will rescue you tomorrow afternoon." The messengers went back to the people of Jabesh and told them that they were going to be rescued. Everyone was encouraged, so they told the Ammonites, "We will surrender to you tomorrow, and then you can do whatever you want to." The next day, Saul divided his army into 3 groups and attacked before daylight. They started killing Ammonites and kept it up until afternoon. A few Ammonites managed to escape, but they were scattered far from each other. The Israelite soldiers went to Samuel and demanded, "Where are the men who said they didn't want Saul to be king? Bring them to us, and we will put them to death." "No, you won't," Saul told them. "The Lord rescued Israel today, and no one will be put to death." "Come on," Samuel said. "Let's go to Gilgal and make an agreement with Saul that Saul will continue to be our king." And everyone went to the place of worship at Gilgal, where they agreed that Saul would be their king. Saul and the people sacrificed animals to ask for the Lord's blessing, and they made a big celebration. Samuel told the Israelites, "I've given you a king just as you asked. You have seen how I have led you ever since I was a young man. I'm already old, my hair is gray, and my own sons are grown. Now you must see how well your king will lead you. Let me ask this: have I ever taken anyone's ox or donkey or forced you to give me anything? Have I ever hurt anyone or taken a bribe to give an unfair decision? Answer me so the Lord and his chosen king can hear you. And if I have done any of these things, I will give it back all." "No," the Israelites answered. "You've never cheated us in any way." Samuel said, "The Lord has chosen and his chosen king are witnesses to what you have said." "That's true," they replied. Then Samuel told them, "The Lord brought your ancestors out of Egypt and chose Moses and Aaron to be your leaders. Now the Lord will be your judge. So stand here and listen while I remind you how often the Lord has saved you and your ancestors from your enemies. After Jacob went to Egypt, your ancestors cried out to the Lord for help, and he sent Moses and Aaron, and they led your ancestors out of Egypt and had them settle in this land. But your ancestors forgot the Lord, so he let them be defeated by the Philistines, the king of Moab, then Sisera, the commander of Hazor's army. Again, your ancestors cried out to the Lord for help, and they said, 'We have all sinned. We stopped worshiping you, our Lord, and started worshiping Baal and Astarte. But now, if you rescue us from our enemies, we will worship you.' The Lord sent Gideon, Bedad, Jephthah, and Samuel to rescue you from your enemies, and you didn't have to worry about being attacked. Then you saw that King Nahash of Ammon was going to attack you. And even though the Lord your God is your king, you told me this time it's different. We want a king to rule us. You asked for a king and you chose one. Now he stands here where all of you can see him. But it was really the Lord who made him your king. If you and your king want to be followers of the Lord, you must worship him and do what he says. Don't be stubborn. If you're stubborn and refuse to obey the Lord, he will turn against you and your king. Just stand here and watch the Lord show his mighty power. Isn't this the dry season? I'm going to ask the Lord to send a thunderstorm, and when you see it, you will realize how wrong you were to ask for a king. Samuel prayed, and that same day the Lord sent a thunderstorm, and everyone was afraid of the Lord and of Samuel. They told Samuel, "Please pray to the Lord your God for us. We don't want to die. We have sinned many times in the past, and we were very wrong to ask for a king." Samuel answered, "Even though what you did was wrong, you don't need to be afraid, but you must always follow the Lord and worship him with all your heart. Don't worship idols. They don't have any power, and they can't help you or save you when you're in trouble. But the Lord has chosen you to be his own people. He will always take care of you so that everyone will know how great he is." I would be disobeying the Lord if I stopped praying for you. I will always teach you how to live right. You must always also must obey the Lord. You must worship him with all your heart and remember the great things he has done for you. But if you and your king do evil, the Lord will wipe you out. Here is a drawing, a picture by the artist by the name of Abraham Blomart. He did this in 1611. It's hanging now in the Metro Museum in New York, Metropolitan Museum in New York. So that's his rendition. Before we close out, let me just show you what's happening the best that I can. So we have, here is the King Nahash of Ammon right here. He goes up and holds Jabesh Gilead hostage. In the meantime, here's Gilgal. Here's where Saul is made king. Remember, that's where he is from. So they go up and they battle. If you remember, 3 tribes stayed west of the Jordan: the tribe of Reuben, the tribe of Gad, and the tribe of Manasseh. It's interesting all of a sudden how things quickly changed. Jabesh Gilead, they were willing to give them the city if King Nahash wouldn't have threatened to hurt them. They were fine with handing over and paying taxes. So you can see how the different tribes, the different cities have fallen and have left God. And so again, as we've seen multiple times and in our reading, Samuel continues to remind people, like Joshua reminded people, like Moses reminded people of all the things that God has done. Never forget what God is doing and how he has blessed you and how we need to be faithful to him. Have a great day.